It just kind of helped some friends kind of figure out how to work with people effectively. Okay? And so, can you hear? Okay. Hold it up a little bit more. So I'll use this, and y'all know what a rectangle is, right? This is a rectangle, but I'm not going to use that bigger one, okay? So I'll make it more manageable for me. But we draw a rectangle, and we draw a diagonal in it. And this is a training tool that I learned to help train people at Cessna, actually. We hired a lot of people that didn't know anything about anything when we opened a new plant down in Independence, Kansas. And so I was part of the HR group, and we trained people to make airplanes, okay? And so when a person comes in and we hire them, I'm just going to put a 0 down here because they're 0. They don't. Out there were not people that were skillful airplane manufacturers, and so we had to take them from scratch. And so the model that we use to help train our leadership, and we'll call them the experts, okay? Okay, the experts knew planes. They were transferred from Wichita plant down there, and their job was to help take people that knew nothing, like somebody who does not know Christ, and invest in them and transfer this expertise into them in an orderly way. And one of the main things that you have when you have a model like this is you have, I'm just going to make a little target. You can do this a lot of different ways, but you must have a vision, and God made us as goal-seeking creatures. And when we have a goal, then we move ourselves and our energy towards that goal. And so the experts were there to take somebody with nothing and start working with them. And I'll just, over time, this is time this way, okay? Let's say it's 6 months that we're going to work with this person to train them. And this expert is 100% in his knowledge. So this is the knowledge line, and this is the timeline. And when I was a fairly old dog, when God impressed me to learn how to be a disciple, I accepted Christ when I was 25, and I had 45 years going in different churches that nobody discipled me. And I hear that from other people here, that they were in churches and you have holy huddles and you have this nice little training thing about Genesis here, and then the next quarter you have something over here in Timothy, and then you have something over here in Proverbs, and let's see, we'll have something over here in Revelations. And so it was a collage, and I had nothing that made sense, and I'm kind of an orderly thinker. I think God's an orderly creator, and the Bible's an orderly book, and it's a story. It starts at the beginning, and it goes over time, and it ends at the end. And so in order to get somebody who has this kind of thinking into an orderly progression of growing and thinking and understanding what it means to be a Christian, the guys that I was with and myself had never been discipled. And I says, God's impressed me to learn how to be a disciple, and God brought these guys. I didn't go round them up. It was kind of interesting how it all happened, and we still, for 7 years, we still have about 8 guys that are actively involved with that particular group. But we together said, okay, where do we start? And so I got this model out, and we started and we broke this thing down into sections, okay? And we're moving along in time here, and the goal is for them to be a mature Christian and disciple and a discipler, understanding that there is a goal here, not just to have a holy huddle and learn about different things that don't necessarily fit together, but have a progressive learning program to equip that person to where they understand where they're at. We're going to start here. And we did something, probably it's not kosher, but we did something. I thought, God, what will keep these guys interested enough to stay in the program? So we started with end time stuff. And we used a program by a preacher out of Dallas Baptist down in Dallas, Texas. And he had a nice, clean presentation. And he didn't present just revelations and all the, kind of crazy things in that book, but he actually started at the very first of the Bible and went through the Bible and talked about all the prophecies and things that had happened and came to the book of Revelations. And, the sticking point always with most Christians is they believe pre-trib, mid-trib, post-trib, and you can have division within a group just fighting about that. And so he presented each position, and then he said, I tend to think this way. But he said, the priests in the temple thought they knew all about the way Jesus was going to come back. And did they have it? They missed it a mile. So, his presentation was these things God says are going to happen, but be open-minded because he's going to come the way he's going to come. And so they were all interested because everybody's talking about that. So our first step was just to kind of realize there is an ending, there is a hope that Christ is going to return and he's going to straighten the mess out. And then we took Charles Stanley, and they were interested in Christianity, and he had a program on Christianity. Just walked through a basic video presentation. They had books. We talked about it. We spent an hour and a half, and we just started equipping. We got a really good program. It's about 15 years old now, and it was made to present to non-Christians and Christians. And it's the 10 keys of understanding the Bible. And it explains very simply, just step by step, the story of the Bible. So even, many older Christians really don't have the concept of the story of the Bible. And every time I've presented that to people, they walked out of there and they loved it because they walked out of there with a basic understanding what makes them hungry to jump in. And so what we're doing here is we're taking an expert, and now you put this into our discipling, and what this is a mature disciple. That's what we all want to be. And when we evangelize somebody, they're down here. But guess what? There's people that accepted Christ, and they're still down here because they were never presented with the story of the Bible in a way that made sense. They were like me. I couldn't get real excited about having my church experience like this. But when it started coming together in an orderly way to where the goal is I would be equipped to be a discipler of somebody. And so we are walking along this thing, and we're up in this neighborhood. They've never had a testimony. We're working on a testimony for each one of them. And I have guys, some of them didn't get out of 6th grade. Some of them are very smart. And I had the deal that the very smart ones become very impatient. So I have to spend time with Coke down at Mickey D's and say, look, you're going to disciple people, and you're going to have people that are really smart. You're going to have people that didn't have that opportunity for whatever reason in their life, and they didn't go to school and they don't know very much. And you are a point of love to help them all grow together. And the ones that are smart need to learn how to be patient with ones that don't get it as quick. And the ones that don't get it as quick need to be encouraged that, hey, they're okay. So I go have a Coke with those guys and help them say, hey, just hang in here. One guy in particular, he came, and I said, I'll do the opening prayer for our group, and then I'll have a volunteer. He said, well, I ain't praying. I don't know nothing about praying out loud. He got COVID, and he didn't know anything about memorizing. He got COVID, and he sat in that bed, and he got sicker than a dog. And on his nightstand, he put the memory verse over there. He couldn't do it, didn't want to do it, and he learned that memory verse when he was sick. He thought he was going to die. And when he came back, the first thing he wanted us to know, I got this memory verse down, and it was the Great Commission. That's our foundational verse here, that Christ, before he went and ascended to heaven, he left the message, here's my will, and that's to go and make disciples. And so he was so proud of that. And now, you know what? I'll say, who wants to close the session this week? And he prayed about a month ago, blew my socks off. He has matured in his just realizing he's with people maybe that have degrees and stuff, and he doesn't have much. But it was the most wonderful prayer. And I about flipped over my chair. But the rectangle is simply a way to see what we're doing. We're not just coming there to have a holy huddle, pat ourselves on the back, and nothing's connected. We're trying to make them clearly see we are progressing so that you can be a mature disciple and that you can disciple other people. And to show kind of the progression of this, what happens after these guys go to the maturity level, each one of them has an opportunity to have their own rectangle. And they have 1 or 2, 3 people that they start here, and they do the same projection. But now they become the discipler, and there are people that they are working to disciple. So it's like a building block program. And, I didn't know I said, I don't know how to be a disciple, but will you guys help me? I'll lead. And then God brought certain people. This guy just coming in right now, an amazing story of how this man here has really helped me. And a friend of mine died, and that I worked with at Cessna, and I went to his funeral. That pastor had the greatest gospel story in the world, so I found him afterwards, and I said, man, that was the best funeral I've ever been to. And so he asked me what I was doing. I said, well, God's impressed me to learn how to be a disciple. I was 70 years old. So it doesn't make any it doesn't make any difference how old you are. And I said to Richard, I says, when we first met, I says, I'm old, so I don't know if this is really worth anything. He says, well, don't worry about that. Just let's go. And then you think about how many times the children of Israel didn't have much time at all, and an impossible situation, and great things happened. And so he helped me realize that I may be 70, I'm close to 80 now, but who knows how long. And as long as God has me healthy, and I can love people, and I can share his truth and help them understand, yeah, you're here, but I'm here to love you and help you methodically take steps to grow you to maturity so that you can do the same. And so that's what the rectangle is. It's to help, number one, have people understand to have a vision, a goal. And once we have a goal, then we move towards that goal. And the relationships that you have, how you learn to pray for one another. And it's not like most church situations I've been in, is we count how many baptisms we have, and we get all excited about that, but there's nobody there investing in these people. They're just looking to put, I call it Dunkin' Donuts. They dunk them, but they don't put any icing on them, okay? And I mean, when they say, okay, we baptized, and I say, well, how many people have you loved and started walking with and investing in to help them understand who they are as with this new identity as Christ? And that may take 9 months for some people. It may take 3 years. You may be doing this for 7 years like I've done with some of these guys. So it's a simple little tool to help you understand what you're doing as a leader and having a system where you bring different things in order to equip them to be mature, so that they get here and it builds confidence and competence. And if you have those two things, what follows is motivation. One of the reasons I didn't ever share much is because I didn't have any competence really of where I was or what was going on. Once I started having that, I got confident. And when I got confident in God's story and Christ and what he does, I get motivated. And then I'm looking for God to open a door. I don't have to go put somebody in a headlock. Every day is an adventure to see where's the door that's going to open. And whether it's with your family, your neighbor, somebody down at the grocery store, it's an adventure. So that's the rectangle. And we just had fun this morning talking about it, and they started talking about it, so here I am. I sure didn't plan on being here, and I really appreciate, all that God has done for you, that you can share and let his love flow through you to help us do that. Okay? Okay. Yeah. Yeah.